फरहान अजीज़ साहब से हम बात करेंगे एंड वी विल पुट हिम सम क्वेश्चंस। और यूनाइटेड नेशन जो है क्या करने जा रहा है और यूनाइटेड नेशन ने जो हमें फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस दी है उसके बारे में भी मैं बात करना चाहूँगा। वो कैसे डिस्पर्स होगी और उस पर किस तरीके से उस पर अमल दरामद होगा। और क्लाइमेट चेंज तो होनी है, होती रहेगी और आइंदा आने वाले दिनों में मज़ीद बढ़ती जाएगी। तो फरहान साहब से हम पूछते हैं, कुड यू प्रोवाइड एन ओवरव्यू of the aid that the United Nations has pledged in response to the current crisis in Pakistan? What type of assistance is being prioritized and how is the United Nations ensuring timely and effective delivery?
Well, the United Nations is right now working with the authorities in Pakistan to assess the impact of the floods. What we're trying to do is identify needs and address gaps in the response to the flooding. Also, we have so far released $600,000 from our regional humanitarian pooled fund to support the relief and recovery efforts. And the Pakistan pooled fund is currently allocating $1.4 million to local groups so that they can do life-saving work. Much more is needed. And so we are going to probably need to assess the needs on the ground and have an appeal for further money. Right now, the priorities are water, sanitation, health, shelter, and then support to families. So those are the key things right now, because this is a time of displacement. We've estimated that some 24,000 people are displaced, so they need to have housing in different relief camps. But we also need to make sure that we can combat diseases, waterborne diseases like cholera and so forth, because of a huge amount of water everywhere.
Farhan Saab, how is the United Nations coordinating with the government of Pakistan and other international partners to manage the ongoing relief efforts? Are these specific mechanisms or frameworks being used to streamline cooperation and avoid duplication of efforts, Farhan Saab?
Well, part of what we're doing is making sure that the groups on the ground, the NGOs on the ground are supported so they can go about their work. Right now, there's some work that's difficult to do because of the level of flooding. For example, many villages, about 4,000 villages, are strongly inundated by the waters right now. So what that does is that we can't do assessment work on the ground until the flood waters recede. But there are things that will definitely be needed. You'll need clean water. You'll need hygiene kits. You'll need shelter materials like tents, but you'll also need mosquito nets, food rations, and support for people's livelihood, because there's a lot of displaced people on the ground.
Okay. Given the scale and frequency of recent climate-related disasters in the region, what key areas should Pakistan prioritize to strengthen its disaster preparedness and resilience?
Certainly, Pakistan needs to be prepared to deal with increasing amounts of flooding, because this is going to happen more and more. What's happening is climate change is making the intensity of flooding situations much worse each year. The problem is, as the Secretary General of the UN has made clear, Pakistan has been doing very little to add to climate change, and yet it is one of the countries that is getting the huge brunt of the impact of climate change. So part of what's needed is for other countries to do much more to prevent global heating around the world, to prevent the rise in global temperatures, because Pakistan is one of the places that is paying the price for what other countries are doing.
Yeah, exactly, because we are facing the heat, and you're absolutely right. We are facing the heat, and we are facing the brunt of all the other countries which are like emitting like pollution and all those stuff. But we are on the front line, and we are facing the heat. So, is there like any assistance which is going to come like in a regular way, or can you like give us like anything which is on your mind, that how should we tackle all these things? Because on our own resources it's going to be very, very difficult to handle this situation, because this climate change is not going anywhere.
Well, the thing about climate change is there's only so much an individual country like Pakistan can do about it. So what's needed is a global coordination. Every year, there are climate change talks under what's called the COP system, the Conference of Parties.
Yeah.
And this year, we need to focus on making sure that that the level of greenhouse gas rise is contained. Otherwise, every year you're going to have worse storms, worse flooding, and countries like Pakistan will pay the price for it.
Yeah.
So that is a global situation. That's something that Pakistan can't handle individually.
Yeah.
But individually, it needs to do more to be prepared, to move people around, to make sure that they get the support they need for when flooding incidents like this happen.
Yeah, but as you said, we are in a situation, and the situation is that we are not contributing much in climate change, but we are facing the heat, and on our own, if we depend on our own resources, it's going to be very, very difficult to handle this situation in the days to come. So is there a permanent solution to all these things? Will we be getting like any financial assistance regularly in the days to come, or how should we take it? How should we manage all these things on our own? It's very difficult to manage all these things on our own,
The problem is that for those activities that Pakistan will need to do, it will need funding globally.
Yeah.
This is happening, unfortunately, at a time when the amount of funds going to aid activities is in decline. There's donor fatigue. Many countries with the most resources are not contributing as much as they used to. We are trying to lobby them to make sure that there is funding for this. And we have different funds, such as the pooled fund for Pakistan, that we're trying to use to disperse money as needed. But more is needed.
Yep.
And ultimately, what we have to focus on as well is to make sure that the scale of the problem doesn't increase. And for that to happen, we really need to have global cooperation to hold down the increase in global temperatures.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely right, but global support is needed for Pakistan. Should we take it that way?
Certainly. For Pakistan, for India, which has faced the same problems as Pakistan with flooding, Bangladesh, a lot of the South Asian nations are facing the same problems, and they will need the same solutions.
Is United Nations offering any technical support or capacity building initiatives to help Pakistan better prepare for future emergencies? If so, what are the focus areas of these programs?
I mean, the big focus is disaster preparedness, and we're trying in different countries to make sure that there are measures taken for disaster preparedness, including better forecasting, better warnings to the affected population. But that can only take you so far, because what's happening is the scale of disasters is increasing every year, and that has to be contained.
Okay. So what lessons has the United Nations drawn from previous disasters response efforts in Pakistan that are informing the current approach?
I mean, what we've learned is what works and what doesn't. What works is to have a disaster preparedness system in place, and what works is to make sure that affected populations get the support they need on the ground, including shelter, including health interventions to prevent the spread of disease once there's flooding, and ultimately the sort of financial support that uprooted communities need. So that is what we are encouraging. And again, the biggest problem is getting the right amount of money to people. At a time of donor fatigue, we have to push to make sure that all the countries that are affected have the support that they need.
Okay. Farhan Sahab, how does the Deputy Secretary General of United Nations view the role of international solidarity in addressing both immediate humanitarian needs and long-term climate resilience in vulnerable countries like Pakistan?
The problem with the humanitarian needs is making sure that countries don't have the sort of impact from these. There'll need to be better ways to manage water systems to make sure that you are prepared to deal with the overflow of rivers, you see what the impact has been in terms of making sure that that all these communities, all these villages now have up to 10 meters of water in them. It's not a situation where people can actually go about daily activities until the floodwaters recede. So that's ultimately that's what's needed, is to have a system to prevent the level of flooding, the level of floodwaters from becoming so intense. And that, again, is part of what needs to be a global effort. It can't be one country alone doing this.
With countries like Pakistan, some of the water is coming from our neighboring country like India. And there is a treaty over there, but India is like reluctant to follow or abide by that treaty. So it's like Indus Water Basin Treaty. So they don't stick to that. So at times they make an effort to sabotage all the sowing process in Pakistan, and at times they do send more and more water over here towards Pakistan, which creates a flood situation in Pakistan. So how should we go about it? What can United Nations do about it?
What we encourage is for India and Pakistan to work out their water sharing in a good neighborly way. We've encouraged them to abide by their existing treaties, and we'll continue to do that.
So if they're not doing it, if they have categorically said this, that they will not follow the treaty, the Indus Water Basin Treaty, so how should we go about it? We take it as a terrorism act?
Certainly, we will continue to encourage both countries to abide by the existing treaties, and we're pushing them both to do that.
Thank you very much for talking to us, Farhan Saab. I leave the rest to the people, because United Nations is all out funding us, helping us out, and we should appreciate that.